Okay, so in last class we discussed about the nutrition. Okay, so in that chapter we discussed that the respiratory organs, how the animals and plants are respiring. So that the topic we discussed. Now today we are going to start a new chapter, that is the transportation. Okay, that is transportation, the circulatory system. So let me know first what is meant by transportation. So the name itself indicating the transferring of materials from one place to another place. So here the transportation may be done within the organism. That is here generally we can say that the transportation will be done with the help of a vehicles. Okay. So the products or the goods, the materials will be transported with the help of the vehicles from one place to another place. So like that, so the transportation is also be done in the living organism, that is inside of the living organisms. Okay, so here what they will be transporting? So here some of the materials from that is here whatever we'll eat, whatever we'll drink, whatever we inhale the gases, these the materials, these the substances will be transported from one place to another place. Okay, that is within the organism only. Okay, so these will be done. Who are doing this the work? So this the topic we are discussing here. So actually all the need nutrients, that is the food materials, nutrients, gases, there is oxygen and carbon dioxide, and the liquids, the water most probably. So these will be needed, the living organisms will be needed for growth and maintenance of the body. We already know that the most probably the organisms are categorized into unicellular and multicellular. Unicellular organisms means the organisms which will be having only single cell. By having single cell only, whatever they require, whatever the metabolic activities they will be done, we only with the single cell. We can call them as a unicellular organisms. So best examples we discussed in earlier class, they are most probably the most familiar example is the amoeba, paramecium. Okay, so these are all unicellular organisms. And then what about the multicellular organisms? The name itself indicating that multi means many, more than one. Okay, the organisms which will be having more cells, many cells, we can call them as a multicellular organism. So here in ninth class only we discussed the diversity in living organisms. Okay, that is here the cells, some of the cells are gathered together to form a tissues, and some of the tissues are gathered together to form a organ, and some of the organs are gathered together to form a organ system. All these organ systems are gathered together, we can call them as a human being. Okay, so like this information they will be given, we discussed in lower sections. Okay, so here multicellular organism, a diversification we have seen in the multicellular organisms. Okay, so if regarding to the transportation, if you'll see the unicellular organism, how the transportation will be done, it is very simple in unicellular organism. Only a single cell is performing the whatever the activities, whatever the metabolic activities performed with its body, only a single cell is there. If we'll take the plants and animals, for example, if we'll take the human being is a made up of a millions of cells. Okay, so if we'll that is if we'll compare them like this in unicellular organisms. Must have any. Why are moving your screen, ma? Okay, don't disturb the class. Just listen the class. Okay, so in lower organism, that is in unicellular organisms, all the materials will be transported through a simple process which we can call them as a diffusion. Okay, so in ninth class we discussed that what is meant by diffusion. Not only ninth class, in last class, that is in respiration, we discussed that what is meant. Diffusion means what? Movement of molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration. We can call it as a diffusion. Okay, so here amoeba. So these most probably these unicellular organisms are residing in the water only. So in the water only they can get the nutrients, gases, liquids like that. So with the help of a diffusion process or osmosis or diffusion. Okay, so if we'll apply the same process to the multicellular organism, is it possible to transport faster and more efficiently? No. Why? Because multicellular, or the name itself indicating many cells, has to be obtain the nutrients, gases like this, and the liquids. So if we'll use only, if in our body, if these two process only occur in our body, what will happen? Very slow process. Our cells won't obtain these food materials or gases or liquids in time. Okay, if they won't get or capture or get these materials in time, the cells may sometimes will die. If the cells will die, the organisms will also be die or may inactive. So that's why there is a specialized system is there along with the diffusion and osmosis. One more specialized system is needed to carry out the materials from one cell to another cell or from one place to another place within the body. We are calling it as a circulatory system. Okay, so whatever will take, either it will be a liquid, either it will be a solid or a gases, whatever will take, these materials have to be supplied each and every cell in our body. Okay, so this will be possible not only with the diffusion and osmosis. One more process is there, that is the circulatory system. Different types of materials will eat, different types of materials have to be passed. Most probably these three types, they will be passed to each and every cell in the body with the help of a transporting system called circulatory system. Okay, so what are the organs involved in the circulatory system means here? The first one is the most circulatory organ is the heart and blood vessels, and the third one is the blood. These three organs, these three organs, we can call it as a circulatory system. The circulatory system including three organs, they are heart, blood vessels and the blood. So this overall lesson we are going to discuss about these three parts only, these three organs only. Okay, here in your textbook they had given, that is a for example, if you when you are suffering any fever, or if you are not feeling well, so most probably we can go near to the doctor. So first, before, what he will do, he will hold your hand. By holding your hand, what he will do, he will check the, that is by holding the hand, where he will his hand or her hand, that means near the wrist, below the wrist, exactly below the thumb, he will keep like this and observe for some time. So what he will observe, show you the picture. So Ma, unmute all your microphones, Amma. Okay. So here, when you will near to a doctor, so when you will go near to a doctor, what he will do after sitting besides him, he will hold your hand. After holding your hand, what he will do? He will touch that is region. That is exactly near the wrist region. That is exactly below the thumb. You too can observe like this by holding like this your index finger and the ring finger. If you keep like this, you can observe a rhythmic movement, up and down movements you can observe. Okay, so what it will be here, it is very amazing that he is going to observe the heartbeat. Okay, so it will very amazing that where is the location of the heart and where you are observing the heartbeat means here we are calling it is an echo of an heartbeat. Most probably we can call it as pulse. Okay, so this is the pulse. Okay, ma. So here you feel something. If you'll keep like that, you feel something pushing your fingers rhythmically up and down. So we can count the rhythm, so which is called a pulse for a minute. Okay, so is there any relationship between the pulse and the heartbeat? Yes, there is a relationship between the pulse and the heartbeat. Okay, and also in your exam they'll ask the matchstick stethoscope experiment. How you can prepare the matchstick stethoscope experiment means very by using a whatever usually generally using materials only we can require that. So what are the materials will require means a stopper which will be used to close the syringe bottles, or uh, mostly glycerin, a small glycerin which will be available in medical shops. So the glycerin bottle is closed with a rubber stopper. Okay, so with the help of we need that rubber stopper and we are inserting the matchstick to that. So in your textbook they had given in the page number 49. So how by prepared rubber stopper will keep near the wherever now we had seen the pulse. If we'll keep like this, we can you can observe that the rubber cork or that rubber stopper moving up and down. That means here the heartbeat, that is contraction and relaxation, you can observe movement of that. You can stick. Okay, so by this we can observe that there is a relationship between the pulse and the heartbeat. And if you will see the discoveries in the year 1816, there is a scientist who can be called as Rene Laennec. I'll show you the picture of him. Rene Laennec, he is the first person who discovered the stethoscope. How he discovered the stethoscope means here. So before the discovery of this stethoscope, some of the doctors are using. Yes, he is the person. He is the person who first discovered the stethoscope, Rene Laennec. Very important mark for bits. Who discovered the stethoscope? Rene Laennec. Rene Laennec discovered the stethoscope. So before the discovery of the stethoscope, some of the doctors are used to hear the heartbeat. They will put their head near the chest of the patient's heart. Okay, like that they will listen, or after some days they'll use the paper tube by that is how will prepare the paper tube means here they will prepare the paper tube by using a 10-inch long paper tube. That paper tube must have a 1 inch in diameter. Okay, so by using that they'll keep near the heart, patient's heart, and one end they'll put near the ear. So like that they listen the patient's heartbeat. and after then they'll replace the instead of the paper tube, they'll replace with the bamboo. Okay, bamboo is a hollow substance. No, inside it won't have any tissue, so hollow. By using the bamboo also, they can hear the heartbeat. Okay, so by listening heartbeat near the heart, and also if we listen the pulse, if we not we can listen, we can feel. If we can feel a rhythmic up and down movement, if we'll observe near your wrist region, they will be related. The heartbeat and the pulse will be related. So by this, there will be some of the expert, they will conduct a small activity with some students. If they will conduct it like this, and by plotting a histogram, okay, by plotting a histogram, they will observe that, okay, see here ma. So the blue bar indicates the heartbeat and the red bar indicates the pulse. So by this, by plotting a histogram on heartbeat and pulse rate, they finally concluded that both are same. Heartbeat and the pulse rate are both are same. Okay, so this is about the relation between the heartbeat and the pulse rate. Next, next we are going to discuss about the structure of heart, structure and method of working of the heart. Okay, so we already know that heart is a very vital organ. Vital means important organ. So it is the beat of the heart which keeps us alive. So where is the location of the heart means it is present between the lungs, not exactly in the center of the lungs. It is somewhat leaning toward the left side of the body. The heart is leaning towards the left side of the body, and it is protected by a rib cage. So it is front side rib cage and back side backbone. So, and what is the size of the heart means it is the size, approximately the size of your wrist. Okay, so this is that that is the outer in structure, external structure of the heart. Now if you'll see the internal structure of the heart, I'll show you the structure of the heart now. Ma, unmute your microphones, ma. Some disturbance is coming. See here, the external structure of the heart. So if you'll see outer line, okay. So the heart is actually, the shape of the heart is pear shaped. Okay, pear shaped structure, triangle in outline. If you'll see, it is a triangle in outline, and wider at anterior end and narrower at posterior end. Wider at the anterior end and posterior side. Posterior side, it is a narrower end, wider at anterior. This is the anterior and this is the posterior. So if we'll outline, if we'll draw, it will be looking like a triangular in shape, and it is actually, the shape is the pear shaped. A fruit we are comparing, a pear shaped structure. Okay, and the heart, if we'll protective layers of the heart is covered by a two layer. The heart is covered by two layers. We can call them as a pericardial membranes. Pericardial membranes, and between these pericardial membranes will be having a fluid which we can call it as a pericardial fluid. So this pericardial fluid protects the heart from shocks. So externally we will be having a rib cage, front side rib cage, the thoracic cavity, and back side will be having the backbone. And also along with that, the pleural fluid which is present between the membranes of the heart, pericardial membrane, the space present between the pericardial membranes, we are calling it as a pericardial fluid. So the pericardial fluid and pericardial membranes are pericardium. Their function is protecting the heart from shocks. Okay, sudden shocks, if you like, it will be protecting the heart. So see here, the external structure of the heart is divided into 4 chambers. Here you can observe the 4 chambers. One, 2, and the 3 and 4. Okay, 1. It is not 1. Okay. So okay, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So like this, 4 chambers. These are externally separated by the grooves. You can see the groove. Groove ante guntalaga nartham. There will be externally separated by the grooves. And you can visible here the 2 upper parts. These 2 upper parts. Upper parts are called atria and the lower ones are called ventricles. So these 2 upper parts are called atria and the lower 2 are called ventricles. Okay, and the walls of the ventricles, if you'll see the thickness of these auricles and ventricles, atria or auricles, both are same, we can call auricles or atria. Okay, so the walls of the ventricles are thicker than the walls of the atrial walls, thicker than that of the atrium. Okay, so you can get a bit so the walls of the ventricles are thicker than that of the walls of the atria. Okay, and the blood vessels, if you see the blood vessels inside, you can observe the blood vessels. So we can call the blood vessels present inside the heart, we can call them as a coronary vessels, which supply blood to the muscles of the heart. Whatever the blood vessels present in the heart, we can call them as a coronary blood vessels. Okay, and in our observation, we found that the heart has 4 chambers. On the left side, let me see the internal structure of the heart now. So if you see the internal structure of the heart, you can able to identify the chambers of the heart. So human being, see here, if you see the internal structure of the heart having mammalian heart or human heart having 4 chambers. Okay, 1, 2, upper 2 chambers we are calling it as a, I'll change the color now. So, is it visible? It is not visible. So, upper chamber, so this is the auricles. These 2 are the auricles, A, and these lower chambers we can call them as a ventricles. So, human heart is a 4-chambered heart. Upper chambers are called auricles and lower chambers are called ventricles. And also, it will be divided into right side of the heart and left side of the heart. So, this is the left side of the heart, L. Left side of the heart, and this is the right side of the heart. Okay, left side of the heart and right side of the heart. And if you'll see left side 2 chambers are present and right side also 2 chambers are present. Left side left atrium, left ventricle, and right side right atrium and right ventricle. Okay, got it, Amma? And also here, if you'll see the inner space of the left atrium, you can clearly visible here. The space of the The inner space of the left atrium and ventricle are smaller comparing to the right side. Okay, got it my point? The inner space of the left atrium and ventricle are smaller comparing to that of the right atrium and right ventricle. So up to now again I am saying you that the human heart is a four chambered heart. Upper chambers are called auricles or atria, and lower two chambers are called ventricles. Lower two chambers are called okay. Okay, so atria, upper two chambers are called atria and lower two chambers are called ventricles. So upper chambers, and also if it will be divided into vertically, right side, this is the right side and this is the left side. It is not working. So this is the right side and this is the left side. Left and right. Right side will be having right atria and right ventricle. Left side will be having left atria and left ventricle. Okay, got it? And if you'll compare the inner space of the left atrium and ventricle, inner space of the left atrium and left ventricle is comparing to that of that right side, it is bigger. Okay, the inner space of the left atrium and ventricle are smaller when compared to the right atrium and ventricle. Okay, so up to now got clarity, Nama? And also if we'll discuss about the vessels. What are the vessels? Blood vessels. If you can see here, blood. So what are the blood vessels present over here? So if you'll see the blood vessels, most probably blood vessels are of two types, arteries and veins. Broadly, you can categorize the blood vessels into arteries and veins. Arteries, if you generally say, arteries are so arteries and veins. So arteries generally they can carry the needed blood. Ma, who are sharing ma your screen? Why you need sharing of the screen? So arteries and veins. Arteries carry the oxygenated blood from heart to the body parts, to all body parts except lungs. If you see the veins, veins will carry the deoxygenated all the body parts to the heart except from lungs. Remember this. Okay, arteries carry the oxygenated blood from where to where? From heart to various body parts except to the lungs. Veins will carry the deoxygenated blood. The deoxygenated won't have oxygen. Okay, so veins carry deoxygenated blood from various body parts to the heart except from lungs. Okay, got it? And when you will be discuss about the pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. Pulmonary means what? Lungs. So if you will be discussing about the lungs, blood vessels relating to the lungs, pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. So pulmonary artery carry deoxygenated blood. Remember ma, don't get confused. Arteries carry oxygenated blood. That is the blood having the oxygen. Pulmonary artery, that is the artery which will be rising or which will be transferring blood to the lungs. Okay, pulmonary artery carry deoxygenated blood from lungs to heart. Sorry, from heart to lungs. Okay, got it? Pulmonary artery carry deoxygenated blood from heart. Again, pulmonary vein carry oxygenated blood from lungs to heart. Got it? 4 types of blood, not 4 types, 2 types only. Among that, some variations are there. Generally, we'll be having 2 types of blood vessels. Capillaries are there. Again, we'll discuss about the capillaries. First, we'll discuss about them.